Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is Cop On Podcast. Thank you so much to everybody joining us on YouTube. If you're not joining us on YouTube, then follow us on YouTube at Cop On Podcast. Find it on whatever, Twitter, Google, whatever browsers you use these days. And I'm going to start with a poem because I found a poem. It's section 27 from a 131 section kind of selection of poems written by Alfred Lord Tennyson between 1833 and 1850, all in memoriam of A.H.H., who was someone called Arthur Henry Hallam. So this is from In Memoriam A.H.H. It's number 27 of 131. And it's by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Or I don't know why they don't say Lord Alfred Tennyson, but who knows? He's a poet we don't question. It goes like this. I envy not in any moods the captive void of noble rage, the linnet born within the cage that never knew the summer woods. In envy not the beast that takes his license in the field of time, unfettered by the sense of crime, to whom a conscience never wakes. Nor what may count itself as blessed, the heart that never plighted troth, but stagnates in the weeds of sloth, nor any want begotten rest. I hold it true, whatever befall, I feel it when I sorrow most. 'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Alfred Lord Tennyson there to kick us off, basically because I was looking for a poem that involved rage. William Shakespeare had, a few great lines about a welkin, which is an old word for the sky. If the wind rages, doth not the sea wax mad, threatening the welkin with its big swollen face? I could have chosen that one, Jack, because, speaking about Darwin's big swollen face attacking Andersen, yesterday, that wind-up merchant. And we've got to start with Darwin. He's a silly boy, isn't he, Jack? Because not only was it a red card for yesterday, and, we were much better than Crystal Palace, and there's loads of positives from the game that we can talk about, but it's for the rest of his entire career in the Premier League, because at least for the next 2-3 seasons, every single defender he comes up against is going to try and wind him up and going to put their face close to his in the hope that he might softly touch it with perhaps his nose, perhaps his cheek, perhaps the point of his chin, and they will fall down like, I don't know, like toasted soldiers if you try and stand them up. How are you feeling, Jack, about Darwin's red card today, a day after it happened?
Yeah, disappointed, mate. As you know, I went the game and it happened dead quick, and I was speaking to a couple of lads as well. It didn't show it instantly on Sky or on the television cameras. They did, so I was already reacted to the shot or the deflection that we had, and as you said, mate, it's what you can't compensate for a player, regardless whoever it is, for Liverpool to do that on a football pitch. You're putting yourself in such a difficult position in reality for the next 58 minutes onwards from that moment. And as you said, mate, it's what he's set himself up for now, the Premier League, and for a player he's played against a lot of experienced centre halves in his young career, in which he has, but he's played against Pepe in the Portuguese league, probably him and Ramos in the Real Madrid days. He's renowned for it, and it's disappointing to see that he's reacted in that manner, but he can only learn from it, and that's what we're hoping through to, that he learns from this experience. And ideally, it's not the best situation, because Liverpool, as we probably will speak in today's pods, who we're going to be playing up front against Manchester United. But as he said, mate, hopefully he learns from it, and if he doesn't, then there'll be a lot of question marks. But it's I was deeply disappointed with him, mate, and it was just one of them head moments that you're like, why have you done that?
Madness, absolute madness. Virgil van Dijk says he has to control himself, definitely. He has to manage himself, and he has to know that these things can happen, especially in the Premier League. Obviously, he was disappointed and also probably with himself, but it's a learning curve and we will always back him. He knows it should not happen again, and hopefully it will be that way. Delighted to have Brian back with us. Brian, he's going to learn. He's going to learn, isn't he? He's never going to do that. He's never going to be that dumb again, is he?
Well, I don't know. Let's hope not. I mean, yeah, I was disappointed. I was disappointed from him because he just got mugged off, right? That was coming. I predicted that in the chat like halfway through the week because I seen Crystal Palace play against Arsenal in the opening game, and like Vieira's definitely got his stamp on that team now. Vieira, who looks like a car mechanic these days, has turned that team into the guy you drop your car off to, has turned that team into a gnarly team, like just chipping away, just fouls that the ref can't see, and they were just kicking lumps out of him. And that ref was like most of the refs over the weekend, just horrendous, right? Let so much go. And but yeah, no, look, he can't do that. The only thing encouraging from the whole escapade was that we played a lot better after he went, and then also Klopp is very good at managing narrative and reframing things. And I've seen already he's saying, oh, we're not going to use this time to punish him. He knows he can't do that. We're going to make this time to make him stronger. And so when he comes back to the Premier League, he'll be wiser and stronger. And so, if there's any manager who can manage this, it's him. But yeah, it was disappointing. And you would hope that he definitely learned from that, because yeah, he will be getting that a lot now until people forget about it. And he'll have to just not respond now for 6 months, but they'll be trying to wind him up every single game, home and away. And even the fans, right? The opposition fans will jump all over that as well, right? So hopefully it won't be it'll just be water under the bridge after a few games. And he needs to score a hat trick quickly, I think, just to kind of create a new headline.
He could have scored a hat trick yesterday. It was a really good. It's a really, really good answer. And you're right about the opposition fans. The thing about it is that first impressions last, and that Premier League officials are, incompetent, biased. They hold things against people. There was an incredible graphic that Fergus sent to me about the amount of time that Mo Salah has the ball in the box and has not been fouled, apparently. Like, he's not been fouled compared to every single other player in Europe. It's absolutely mad. It's from Paul Tompkins. Do check out his excellent work. There's a great article about a statistician who got in touch with Paul Tompkins about Premier League reffing, and they're either biased or they're incompetent, or I don't know if there are any other possibilities. But anyway, enough about the refs. I mean, I thought, I saw lots of people panicking, saying this was piss poor Reds. This was absolutely awful stuff. Alan in the comments, great to have Alan with us. He says we're going to have we need. He says, a never give up attitude is needed again this season. Doug is here. He says, utter madness from Nunez. Very nice, Doug. And great to have Anfield Road TV in the chat as well. Yeah, hello, everybody. But Jack, in terms of the never give up attitude, some people are giving up already. I mean, Twitter was full of people saying, oh, yeah, Liverpool should have strengthened and Klopp should go. I've read people saying that Jurgen Klopp should go because we haven't strengthened this summer. And, if there's anything, you're on mute, but you're puffed out your cheeks and shaking your head. Jack, feel free to go or whatever you want down the mic, because that is the kind of, it's lamentable, isn't it? The people's reaction to this. I thought we played well. We were unlucky. We were the better team. Keep it in perspective. There's 36 games left and people are already willing to chuck in the towel. It's crazy.
Jurgen Klopp has been the best thing to happen in my 27 years of supporting Liverpool. He's given me the best years, and hopefully he will give Liverpool more greater years ahead of him. And people are entitled to their opinions, but as I said on my post-match, I was left speechless. Obviously, it's easy for all of us to go on a video and go over the top, full on Arsenal fan TV, because that's what gets you views. It honestly does get you views in today's society. And as I said, everyone's entitled to their opinions to think what they want. But for me, as I said, Jürgen, we would be absolutely. We all remember where we were before Jurgen Klopp come in, and we don't want to be there ever again. But what we want and what I want, and I think can't speak for you lads, but for me personally, I want Jurgen Klopp to be in the best position possible to get the best results he can off a football pitch. And in the stadium last night, I don't know how it translated on the telly. He needs help, Jurgen Klopp, in terms of the money. There's money in the club. And those players as well. How many times do these players have to continue, season after season after season, perform at the highest level? We've all been in jobs and all that where you just need a little bit of a boost or like a bit of communication with the manager, get an extra colleague in that really just gives you a boost or makes your team be better in whatever aspect it is and brings the best out of you. These lads have been to the mill for the last 3-4 years. Missed out by a point in a couple of the seasons as well. And when you are coming up against a team of the calibre in which Manchester City is, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, he goes to Barcelona. We all know the quality players. I looked at that performance last night, boys, and there's a real lack in quality in midfield. And it's not a case of we know the limitations of Jordan Henderson's game. Klopp himself, and for me, I hope he drops Fabinho, plays Hendo in the 6, because Jurgen said in the past, Hendo's best position is in the 6. And yes, we did criticise Henderson, and I did personally as well in the 8 against Fulham. But for me, it's, as I said, limitations to certain players. I think we've watched these lads over a certain amount of period. We know what they can and what they can't do. And in second ball transitions, similar with the Fulham goal as well, similar with last night's goal as well. Nat Phillips, limitations. We know he's not the quickest. The other 19 Premier League managers, the very intelligent, they've been here, done that in football. It was so obvious what their game plan was, Palace. And that's not a dig at Nat for me. It's limitations to Nat's game. We know he's not the quickest. So what do you then do? Do you move an extra midfielder? Say protect that pocket of space, but when Fabinho is not on his game, like he hasn't been for the game last night, and he's on his last legs, like he's played so many minutes over the last 3-4 year period as well. He needs a rest. But when Fabinho's not on his game, Liverpool struggle in terms of second ball transitions. When teams attack on Liverpool in the wide areas, when he stretches, we look very disjointed. We're very heavily reliant, as we have been over the last couple of years, on certain individuals in our team to really stand up. Alisson, back end of the last season, how many man of the match displays did he get last year? Yes, you can talk about that's what it's all about, having a big squad. But I think, well, I don't know how you feel, but for me, I don't know what Kostas Tsimikas has got to do to get a game of football for Liverpool in a competitive game. For me, I'd start Kostas against Manchester United. And if he doesn't have the best game, keep on playing him because he deserves his opportunity, really, for me, miss. There was a lot of ranted about them, but it's
very good. It's very good. You go for it. You go into the woods and down various trails there, and we can, go into all those perhaps one by one. But interesting, you weren't happy with Fabinho's performance. I was happy with Fabinho's performance yesterday. I thought he was very good. He had 94.3% passing accuracy, which was a massive step up from Fulham, where he had, let me just check for you, he had an 80.6% passing accuracy. So he was up 14% in terms of keeping the ball well. I thought he kept the ball well and he won the ball, fairly well as well. I don't know, my computer's gone batshit, but it's okay. So yeah, Fabinho, there was the glaring error when Eze turned inside and Fabinho stuck his leg out and then pulled it away because he didn't want to get the yellow card. That was when Eze then played Zaha in for the goal. But I thought generally he was very good, and I would continue with Fabinho in the 6. But there you go. What do you make of Fabinho? But first of all, actually, before answering that, are you worried about our start, Brian, or are you still positive? You got the never give up, the never say die attitude.
Well, I want to say one thing about Fabinho and his stats, and I think it's relevant. There are 3 types of lies in this world. There are statistics, there's lies, there are damn lies, and there's statistics. And I looked at his statistics just now, managed to finally, after 2 years of doing this, find a website that actually has statistics about the game that we're going to talk about. Ooh. And I was like, wow, Jesus, his statistics were off the charts, right? His pass completion, as you said, and all that. But I'm with Jack. He was off the pace for me at the beginning of the game. His passes were pedestrian. Like, he was stroking the ball to players. Like, I think we're at our best when we're intense and we're passing the ball intense. We're passing the ball with purpose, and we're pressing. And like, the reason why I think we've been so successful under Klopp is that we're just so uncomfortable to play against. And if you give teams, anytime a team can play a little bit against us, they immediately start to think, oh, Liverpool are having they're having an off day. We might get something out of this. And I think that's what the message we said. Like, I sat down with my buddy and we looked at each other. We thought, okay, right, clear as day. We have to come out of the traps fast here today for sure. This first 10 minutes we have to be up and in their faces, put a marker down, because anything other than that, we're going to have trouble here today. Because I seen Crystal Palace play, and I just thought, Saha, I knew they were going to do that. They were just going to put 5 at the back. They're going to put 2 in front of them. They're going to put the whole team back there, and they'll just put Saha on the halfway line, and they'll tell him, do nothing. Your whole job, the whole game, is just to stand, be on the shoulder. If you don't get, if you get 4 touches of the ball, make sure you have a shot on target. And Saha, say what you like about him, he can play, right? He can stick the ball in the back of the net. And I said that to my buddy, and literally 2 minutes later, that transition happened. And it's not Phillips's fault, because everybody gets done by Saha that way. If you put a man on man, Saha's probably going to beat you, even if it's like Virgil van Dijk. The problem is the ball before that. It should never happen. It should never get to him. And yeah, I know what you mean. Look, the performance wasn't as bad as people are making out, but I would say this: it was our first game at home in the new season. We're chasing this City team, who are probably not going to drop 12 points like they did like last season again. And let's be honest, we should have got 3 points there. That was what was needed, right? 2-2 against Fulham, and we have to beat Crystal Palace at home. That's just the way it is, And I mean, I'm glad that we managed to get a point, and I'm glad that we came away from that match with a performance, because there's nothing worse than like no result and a bad performance, right? Because I think once Darwin got sent off, which is a bit, somebody else has commented on this, it's a bit worrying, because when he went off, we looked very much like the old Liverpool straight away. It's almost like they did not know how to play with the number 9 up front there. Like as I think you might have brought it up earlier, that Salah is a bit isolated out on the wing. He's looked isolated the last 2 games there. He's not as central as he's been in the past. But to answer your original question, no, the world is not ending. The 4 horsemen are not striding down the road on their donkeys saying that, the Premiership's over. It's we're like 1 point behind City where City was last season, right? And there's a ton of football to play, and we're still unbeaten.
Still unbeaten.
We're a whole season unbeaten,
We're coming for your Arsenal. Yeah, okay.
But I will say this, though. My God, it puts the whole United game into a totally different light now, right? Because we both had shit. You could say it wasn't a shit game, but there's a lot of people who say that was a shit game, right? And who's to say who's right, who's wrong? But all I know is that United game, whoever loses that game, it's going to be a complete meltdown, right? If we manage to beat them and spank them, then that club is just going to collapse, right? It's going to, because they're already there already. But if that shit United team get anything off us, it'll start to, it could get a little bit shaky for a couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like the press will be all over that, like a rash.
Yeah, but it's up to us to put things into perspective. I mean, we're talking about opinions, right? And as Jack said earlier, everyone
what is this perspective you're talking about?
Well, I mean, forgive me for trying to be a little bit sane, because it's okay to have any kind of opinion that you want, but when what people don't ask themselves, or maybe they're too big-headed to admit that maybe they're a bit freaking dumb. But like, when do opinions get stupid? William Gallas, I think it was him, or another ex-player, forgive me if I got the name wrong, said that Liverpool, there's no chance Liverpool will finish in the top 4 this season. No chance. And he's welcome to his opinion. When is it a stupid opinion? Like, the answer is when you've got, you're not basing it on absolutely anything. So all of these people who say that the league is done, City won't drop any points between now and the end of the season. It's not true. I mean, by the way, Brian, they dropped, because there were 114 points maximum. So they dropped about 20 points last season. I can't remember where they finished, 94 or something like that. So they dropped around 20 points last season. They'll probably, if they drop, 17 or 15 points, we still got a long way to go. We can still catch them up very easily. Well, not very easily, but I mean, mathematically, it's easy. But I don't know. The positives from the performance are much more important to me than anything else. Now, I disagree with you, Brian, in that, our XG for the first half was 1.92 compared to Crystal Palace's 0.35. So I think in the first half, we were actually very, very, very good. I was really, obviously very disappointed the fact that we were 1-0 down at halftime. But our performance, I thought, was excellent. We sprang out of the blocks, and to put things into perspective, I mean, this is why I come back at people who say that Fabinho is not. I don't know. All of the stats say Fabinho is better than Henderson, and I don't think that's a lie in the number 6. But anyway, so many people performed well yesterday, actually, Jack, and one of them was Trent. Now, Trent, in the last episode of Cop On, I've never been more down on Trent in my life. I think it was his worst ever performance against Fulham. 59% passing accuracy, 1 key pass. He was giving the ball away, like an electioneer hands out pamphlets willy-nilly to every auntie, every uncle, every granny, every granddad, every child, every baby, just handing out the ball. But yesterday he had 5 key passes, which is a lot better. And his passing accuracy went up by a whopping 20%, from 59% to 78.7% passing accuracy. He managed 4 shots as well. And I thought Trent was particularly good yesterday. And so you can think of him, Liverpool's performance is excellent in the Community Shield, awful against Fulham, and I think really good yesterday. So it makes me feel that, it's just Fulham was just a blip. And yesterday the result was just a blip, but because the performance was good enough, we've got nothing to worry about. And I wanted to talk about, Trent in particular. I mean, you were at the ground where some of his passes, Pedro Chirivella, our former player, was on Twitter saying, how the heck do you even see those passes, Trent? Was it magnificent at Anfield, as magnificent as it looked to me at home on my computer?
Yeah, it's like Trent's doing a bit of Mozart on the pitch, really. Oh, and I think like that as well. Like the stuff he does on a football pitch, it defies expectation, really, because traditionally we've all grew up on as Carragher used to say, no grows up to be wanting to be Gary Neville. But Trent, he's making young lads want to be fullbacks and be expansive and attacking fullbacks as well. And that's what you want. And I think it coincides. We'll probably speak a bit about Elliott, but Liverpool's play down that right-hand side is absolutely hit. The understanding of Elliott, Trent, and Salah is the triangle those three do down that right is absolutely superb in every aspect. In terms of Elliott's 19 years old, but the understanding between Elliott and Trent is, when you watch it in person or even on telly as well, you enjoy playing with each other. And as you said there, made 6 or whatever key passes as well. I think
5, yes, 5.
Yeah, I think you'd see a better Trent even more if Liverpool's attacking play down that left-hand side was a bit more balanced within a game. Because obviously everyone's just focusing solely on Trent and Salah and Elliott. But if Liverpool can eventually sort out the left-hand side, the communication between Diaz, Robbo, Costas, whoever's playing down that side, and obviously the injuries aren't helping with Thiago Alcantara as well, chopping and changing that left side of, like, obviously we're talking about the triangle on the right, but the triangle on the left is most important. And the most important thing I come away from last night, including Trent as well, a key word, and I don't know if Jurgen Klopp will be, is balance. That one of the most important things in a football team is balance. In terms of Liverpool, we've seen it. I think there was a game against City last season or the season before when everything was a Trent on that diagonal ball that he used to always does. And when Liverpool were playing the most expansive football that we know they can do is when you see Robbo bombing in down the left and getting forward and then knocking down that. And we've seen it with the goal as well, with the knockdown in the Community Shield. Robbo down 6-yard box anyway, knocked it down, and then Nunez was there. That's what we were lacking last night. Even when we did have 11 men on the pitch, there was almost an understanding of, well, if Trent doesn't do it, if Salah doesn't do it, if Elliott doesn't do it, then who's going to do it? Because you were all looking at each other going, all about 5-6 players were making the exact same run, and you're like, obviously the crowd not gets on the team's back, but even the crowd were like, come on, boys, what are you doing? You just want someone to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And at the age of 23, it seems like it's always down to Trent to try and create something within this team. And he's got to shoulder that expectation week after week. It's almost like we all grew up watching Gerrard. He just carried Liverpool on his back. And as I said, if it's not going to be Trent that cuts open a team, or if it's not, and Thiago's not on the pitch, I think Liverpool really struggle to create a lot of clear-cut opportunities the way we're playing at this moment in time.
Really interesting point. Yeah, I mean, Andy Robertson, no key passes. You mentioned the triangle that was really good with Salah and Elliott. Mo Salah had an incredible 8 key passes yesterday. Brian, you're right. Salah's a bit more out wide. He's been charged with making things happen. He was so unlucky not to get an assist yesterday because he was so creative. Also, his shots, there was that one quick one where he took it down with his left foot and had that shot from outside the area, whistled past the post. I thought that was in. I was on my knees, waking up the neighbours. Sorry, neighbours. Because that was unbelievable. As Gary Gillespie said, he had no right to get that shot off. He almost scored. But 8 key passes is unbelievable. 81.3% passing accuracy. So he's keeping the ball a lot better than last week against Fulham when it was 68.8%. Again, woeful against Fulham. 1 key pass, 2 shots with 1 on target. He managed an extra shot, 3 shots, 1 on target against Crystal Palace. Mo Salah, but the Mo Salah and Elliott and Trent, that link up, it does look tasty tastier than a sticky toffee pudding. What do you reckon, Brian?
Yeah, but you know what? Before I say that, I was just thinking about it. It's come to me. Like, it's not very often I disagree with you fully, and this is probably one of those times, Owen, I have to say, because no, they were not good. Yes, for me, they were not good because we had 4 shots on target. The average Premiership team has 9 shots on targets for the same amount of shots. As Jack said, they weren't particularly.
But our shooting was awful, Brian. It's not that we had 24 shots, but 4 of them on target.
That has to be. That has to be. No, I'm not saying no. There's nothing to do with Mo Salah. I'm just talking as a team, right? That has to be better. Also, the thing that was infuriating me, that was driving me absolutely batshit crazy, was the amount of crosses that were going into the box. I'm like, that Jensen guy is like 7'2". He's just going to gobble that up all day long. And he did. Every time the ball came in, fucking Nordic giant kept jumping up and just going, bang, thank you. Off you go again. Take it away, guys. Take it. You can send them in all day. No problem. I'm pretty sure they were like, they've got 3 big guys in the middle and they've got 5 in the back, and you've got Trent out wide, who's brilliant. I thought he was great. He was our best player for sure. But he's our predictable best player. We didn't play with any kind of dynamism. They know, like, the amount of touches that Trent had and Fabinho had compared to the rest of the team was shocking. Like, Trent had 150 touches of the ball, and Darwin Nunez had 20 or something like that, or whatever. So it was just that we were very easy to play against in our own place. And I think that was, we have to admit to that. I'm not saying it's bad, right? It's not bad, as you quite rightly pointed out. There's a lot of games to play. I'm only half joking when I say we're still unbeaten. That's a big thing. That's something to hold on to, right? And we can improve. But for me, there was too many players, key players in the team, that were stroking the ball around, and the ball needs to go quickly. And the way you beat a team like that is, 1-2 quick transitions. Just look at City; they're masters of doing that. Like, I watched the breakdown of Man City's last game, and they had the same kind of situation. They got a team blacked in there, and Man City had 5 against 5, and they were stretching, they were pulling the line wide, and that line was not good enough to keep in one position for 90 minutes, and that's how they played. They played in between them, and they just passed. And I just thought, that's the way you play against teams like that. I mean, I preface this by saying, what the fuck do I know about football? but I do know, when you've got a 6'7" giant in the middle of the pitch, who's just hoovering up balls like he's Jupiter, and these are comets getting sucked into his massive blonde head, then at some stage you say, play it on the ground, for like 10 minutes or something. We're not going to get any joy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that we could have done that a lot better. But City, they don't necessarily play fast. They play a lot of controlled, slow stuff until the gaps, open up, and then they do the 1-2s. And I know that to get in behind and all that.
Fast doesn't have to be from one end of the pitch to the other. Fast can be in little small triangles and still be slow, but it's much more conviction, like if you look at Liverpool, when we have my opinion, when we have our best passages of play, the ball is fast. The ball comes to feet fast. It goes from one. There's no second guessing. There's they know what they're doing. They know where they are. They don't have to keep their head up because they know where that player is going to be. Whereas yesterday, it was too strokey for me by some players, particularly Fabinho. He was just rolling it he was on the green, and he was just trying to sink a putt, right? Sometimes. I mean, he didn't have a bad game, but if you're going to have that much of the ball, then you have to kind of influence the game more. I think. I like Hendo.
Too safe, wasn't it, Brian? Sorry, there, mate.
It was.
Would you say it was too safe? But Thiago, would you say, is our risk taker when he's in the midfield?
If you look at those 3 guys, right, that's the other problem. It's like, look, I have no problems with the team. Obviously, it wasn't the greatest performance, but it is what it is. But if you look at, we've got Fabinho, we've got Harvey Elliott, who I think is amazing, right? And we've got Wolverine, right? Wolverine on the other side, right? And
Lucho. You mean Lucho Diaz? Wolverine.
not Lucho,
Like
not Lucho Diaz, Ribena.
Milner.
Milner,
Jimmy
yeah,
Milner.
I'm going with Wolverine now, right? So we got Wolverine.
James Milner is Wolverine.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Okay, I like
obviously,
it. I don't know if he's got hairy hands. Carry on.
How could make that man look even harder? Put a beard on him, and now he looks even harder now. So you've got Milner, Fabinho, and Elliott, right? And Fabinho and Milner are not. They're not going to change games in that respect. They're not Thiago in any way, shape, or form. They're not kind of creative. They're not players that create beautiful things, and we cannot be relying on a 20-year-old or however old our Elliott is to be that guy. So when you have those three together, that's a lot of that's not a lot of spark there. That not do you know what I mean? And so we have to rely more heavily on the system. The system has to do the work. We can't because it's definitely not going to be those three players. If we play with those three players too much, we'll drop a lot of points because that's not a good midfield. Like, you know, I don't think if we go up against Chelsea with that, they'll take us apart.
Yeah, but thing is, when you got Fabinho, when you're playing a high line and you got Fabinho and Henderson in the positions they are, basically with two defenders behind them, you're going to have both of the centre-backs behind them and that's it. Then if they lose the ball in that space, Brian, then we're going to get more counters than we saw yesterday. We're going to have more counters than the Tiddlywink Championship.
I get it, but I just think, you know, someone like Elliott, for example, which I think is brilliant. I think he's at his best when he's in a strong team. Like if he's in a strong Liverpool team, not a problem. He slots in effortlessly. But if he's in one of our say less than stronger kind of starting 11s, he'll never get exposed because he looks after the ball really well. Very rarely loses it. But sometimes he doesn't do an awful lot with it as well when we need it, you know. And it's like, I'm not pointing him out. He was not the problem yesterday, I don't think, right? But it just thinks like we need to unlock this team, and where does the unlocking come from? It comes from the middle of the pitch, right? That's the beginning of the process, and then you've got the keys up front, and they're all waiting. And I think we can look at the top three and think, oh, they didn't do much, but then how much service did they get? Like Salah got the ball, he was practically on the touchline every time, you know, and he had two men on him every time as well. He couldn't do anything with it.
8 key passes. It's a record.
Where's the 7 key goals?
No, it was our finishing. That's it. That's where I stand on this performance. Is that it was our finishing that was woeful, absolutely awful. Our finishing was god-awful. Right. Diaz in his 57 minutes, he had 5 shots, none of them on target. He had that squirmy one that hit the post, and then I don't know if you remember, but in the first half there was that amazing in the first 10 minutes of the match. Trent flashed it across. Salah prodded it back to Elliott, who jinked his way through. It was well saved. And then Trent got the ball again, floated it to the back post. There was Darwin on his trusty left boot, 6 yards out, and he swiped too early at
3
his
points.
volley, and he sliced it, and it was absolutely awful. But I think, you know, but never blame any striker for missing chances, but you know, like he had 5 chances in 57 minutes, which is amazing. But you know, like I don't want to get too down on Darwin. I mean, his tomfoolery, his stupidity for getting sent off aside. He was very, very, very dangerous throughout his 57 minutes on the pitch, and I just think it was just like, we need to practice shooting, and this has been a recurring theme under Klopp when we drop points, is that our shooting's been awful in these days. I mean, even in the Champions League final, you know, but we just need to practice that. But apart from that, it was a good performance. You know, in terms of the one thing we haven't really talked about, the guy who I thought looked like more like Wolverine than James freaking Milner. And Doug from the dugout says, James freaking Milner, he suits that beard. Yes, very good. He suits the beard. Not the beard suits him, but he suits the beard because the beard is the animal. Very good. Yeah, Luis Diaz. what I love about him, Jack, is when he gets the ball, it's like the half shimmy, the millisecond shimmy that he does with his upper body. And it sort of makes defenders stutter. And by the time they stutter, he's past them. He just whips past them, and you don't know which way he's going because he's doing all these little half shimmies with his upper body. And it's like trying to play against a sort of shimmering poltergeist, isn't it? I mean, he was absolutely beautiful for that goal. If you count them, watch it back. He beat 5 players and curled it in. He's been trying to do that goal for a while now. Now he has got that goal. I mean, I want to see it every week. I don't know about you, but it was beautiful from Luis Diaz, wasn't it? And I imagine in the ground, you must have been going potty.
Yeah, because down the man, you're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? And it was like we had Luis Suarez back in the ground where, as you said, he's took on about 5-6 players, and you're like, but he's had that. I think obviously since he come in from January last summer, he's always had a sighter really, where you could just slightly gone over. And that's the thing. He got 16, 17 goals in the Liga NOS last year prior to his move. So he's got that goal threat. His tenacity is absolutely phenomenal. Typical South American, never say die attitude, really. And I think it will be. I think it's a case, as I mentioned, with Andy Robinson. I think Andy's been that used to playing with Sadio Mane, which you probably will understand. I think, obviously, the communication aspect to Andy Robinson, a Scottish and a Colombian trying to communicate. There's probably a couple of jokes in there anyway, but there's I think the understanding, as I said, and I think that's what we'll probably find in the next couple of months, really, a better understanding, because he said Lucho, he likes to come on the right, likes to go on the left as well. He terrorizes defenders. And I think the more understanding they have, and as I said, it probably brings it back to my point, as I mentioned with Andy Robinson, but like the more minutes both of them play, I think the better understanding they will have at that. When I look at that game last night, I think when Diaz was on the ball, I think Robinson, and it's quite obvious over the last 2 weeks, he doesn't know quite when to go forwards. But I think hopefully long term, if that's Costas or Robinson, they actually understand, and from a tactical sense, Liverpool will really grow down that left-hand side, mate. But I come out of that ground, and that's probably one of my most favourite performances from a player. Just to, obviously, it translated well on the telly as well. He's probably the one player on that pitch. He went up, he's challenging, as I said, Andersen. He was beating Andersen in the air on a couple of challenges, and you're like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Obviously, Diaz is like 5'10", but he's still kind of tall. But when you're coming up against centre halves, and that's what you wanted. And that, I don't know if it filtered through to the television and the mics and everything, but the whole crowd was thriving off Luis Diaz. He was just like one of us. It's just like if the fans could come on the pitch, Diaz was running, chasing, harrying, closing down. He was doing everything, and especially when a game where the players need to give the head a wobble, you just want to just poke them a bit and just be like, come on, boys, just get up about it. But yeah, probably one of my most favourite performances from Liverpool, playing a very long while, because he was like a wind-up dog, like a dog or something that you get like in the supermarket. He just keep on biting. And that's one characteristic I really do like about Lucho. And hopefully we do see that a lot more. And hopefully we do see a lot more of those goals, because he could have been the match winner against Fulham if that, obviously, the shot in which he had from the left-hand side, obviously took it with his left, and hopefully we do see that a lot more. He's very two-footed, but he could have scored that winner last week, couldn't he, if it flew in. But he's got his sighters now off the back of last night, and hopefully it gives him a lot of confidence.
Yeah, hopefully. Like, if he does manage to, find consistency going forward with his shooting, then that's that. I mean, we've got it all to look forward to. But the most amazing thing that you mentioned, his harrying and his tracking back. Fabinho, our number 6, got 3 tackles. Nat Phillips, murdering Nat Phillips, the danger man Nat Phillips at the back, got 2 tackles yesterday. Luis Diaz got 6, Brian. 6. He runs back, he plays with all the fire of a burning star in the sky. It's beautiful to watch Luis, or Luis, as they call it with the Portuguese pronunciation for some reason, Luis Lucho Diaz,
Lucho. I like that.
scintillating, sparkling. Talk to me about Luis Diaz?
Can we go with Lucho? I like Lucho. He looks like a Lucho. Yeah.
He does.
Yeah. He's one of us, isn't he? He really is. He gets it. We get him. It's brilliant. And when those goals start to go in more regularly, I've never seen a player hit the post so many times in the opening part of his. You can see it's all there. It's all there. You know, he's got shades of. I mean, the biggest compliment you can give him is he reminds me of Luis Suarez. You know, and that guy is from another planet. You know, he should be in the Marvel universe, you know, when it comes to football, right? Imagine Lucho when he gets a bit of confidence and he goes on a run and those ball, because you can see he likes a goal, right? And he lit the crowd up. I mean, Jack, to answer your question, he was the one that was firing me up at home. I was like, yeah, let's do this. Because you could see, like, even the picture behind you, it was like, that was like, everybody felt like that because we could win this now. Imagine what a great result that would be, you know, to go 10 men down, bit of a shit performance, and then we just pull it out of the fire. So that immediately the narrative changed when that goal went in. And we've seen him score that goal quite a few times in his career where he cuts in, beats a billion players, and then just whacks it into the net, right? You know, so he's brilliant. And he again, you know, people are sleeping on him big time, you know, but then the world's full of, I can't think of a pleasant word to say, but I won't say anything, but the world's full of questionable football fans, right? And you know, he has shades of Mane about him as well, the way he cares so much and the way he's made himself such an integral part of this team so fast. Like, he's only just joined us and already he's playing like one of the senior members of the squad, not to say like of the team. Like, he's really shows he cares and he's putting so much commitment. So it doesn't surprise me that he had this top men tackles there. Yeah, I just can't wait. Like, I think there's a lot of little subtle changes going on in this team, in this squad, and it just needs to gel a little bit more. It's there. It's all there, but it's just a little bit off. It's like 5% off here, 5% off there. And that's not how we play as this kind of fluid machine. And once that gets tuned up, it's still all there, you know, and I think he will be the most dangerous team player on the pitch. He'll be the first name on the team sheet once he gets going. Everything about him is brilliant, you know, and I was so happy when he got that goal, because again, if he didn't get that goal and he went to another game, he didn't get that goal, then you could see what would happen. The stories would start to come in, but now he's got it, takes a bit of the pressure off, and hopefully he can get another one again. I mean, in many ways, the United game couldn't come around soon enough for these lot, right? Because it's a good way to get the stench of some of these performances out there. There's nothing better than rinsing United at Old Trafford, right? Old Toilet.
Let's move on to that. Let's move. Let's go there. Can we? Yeah, for the last 10 minutes or so, let's have a nice little chat about Man United. I really like the Anfield rap, and I really like John Gibbons, friend of Copon, who compared Lisandro Martinez to Danny DeVito. Brian, I don't know if you saw the performance against Brentford, but I mean, 5'7". Wow. Someone in the chat, Graham Rogers, says, "Is Darwin a continental Andy Carroll?" I don't know who you
tell
support,
him we're
Graham.
tracking his IP address. Tell him.
No. I mean, Raz says calls Graham
the
Rogers.
Boys will be around later.
But don't call people names. It's okay, Graham Rogers. You're welcome to join for the banter and say, "Is Darwin a continental Andy Carroll?" He's not. And if you're a United fan who's come here for the banter, then you're welcome. But you will see next week, because I mean, I'm sorry, no, you won't, because he got a red card. Fuck. Oh yeah, no, that ruins my point. But okay,
It's all right.
But,
You've got a donkey playing centre half for them anyway, so
yes, there you go. So you've got a donkey, you've got Danny DeVito at the back, and you got it doesn't really matter because I mean, Lisandro Martinez is not made for this league, Jack. Sorry, I'm going to go to you first about Man United. Lisandro Martinez is not made for this league. He's made for a Sabutio table or something like that. I don't know if he's
under
he's
16s
just too-
probably.
Under 16s, there you go. Your Cub Scout teams. Maybe he'll be the Terrier in the Cub Scout team. But no, they were rubbish. Did you see it against Brentford? It was hilarious.
Yeah, and we've got to be careful with what we say, especially as we've already alluded to today. We need a performance against Manchester United, and if we don't get the performance that we're all hoping and wanted, then there's going to be serious question marks from top to bottom. Not drastic, but there's going to have to be very strong communication from Liverpool and the board, and there will be a lot of question marks if we can't beat this Manchester United side. Because the arrogance that Manchester United went into this Brentford game, we drew. Was it this season, last season, or the season before when we dropped very vital points? Curtis Jones getting you'd think the winner, but this Brentford side is probably one of the most enjoyable sides to watch. Over like a 65-year period that they were missing from the top flight. They've come in, breath of fresh air, really. But what they have got is a very astute manager in the manager in which they have. And yeah, I think it's a manager that they could have done with the opposite dugout, really. But yeah, there's so much wrong about Manchester United. The players on the pitch, the board, but we've just got to enjoy it as well. It swings and roundabouts. Liverpool won't be as this good. Say similar with City, but they'll always have oil until it runs out anyway. So, renewable energy. You never know. But yeah, we've got to enjoy it at the moment. And as I said, but we just got to be careful with what we say if we don't get the performance. But yeah, we'll come to that stage when we get to it, really. And hopefully we just absolutely stuff them. It makes our world a better place, and especially if City somehow did, not expecting them to drop a point, but a point or two, then if we do get a massive win, a thumping win over Manchester United, I think the fact that they wouldn't have a win over the first 3 games, wow, it's Man United we're talking about.
Who are we going to play up
long
front?
may it continue.
Jack?
Yeah,
long may it continue. Who are we going to play up front? Because we're running out of attackers, aren't we? I mean, Mo Salah, obviously. Diaz, obviously. Who's going to be a third one? Bobby's out.
I'm running out.
Jota's out.
I'm running out with me marker on my pen, mate. I put it on my board. So I was like, he's injured. He's injured. I think, I don't know. When I was in the stands, it looked like Carvalho. I think we went to like 3 at the back,
yes.
More or less.
Fabio, I forgot about him, but of course, stick him there.
Fabio on the left. It looked like Diaz, Nunez, he was off the pitch. Diaz was playing through the central area because he was the only one last night that was looking like scoring. And it was Salah on the right. But it's the thing when I know Carvalho, people have been sticking Carvalho up front, and no, he's not a 9. And I know City can do that, but City have got the quality players. Very different when you're playing Kevin De Bruyne in that false 9 position or Foden. But I think it will be Carvalho on the left. And then obviously Diaz or Salah through the middle. And obviously play Lucho on the right. But the adaptability of obviously Salah and Diaz. Or even go with a 2-pronged attack, really. And then play Carvalho in behind. So all these options. But it's the way Klopp makes his money, mate. And but I tell you what, we're 1 injury away from, as I said before we come on air, before us 3 or someone watching plays up front for Liverpool this rate, because they're all dropping like flies. And the quicker we get Jota back, the better. But we don't want to be put in a situation where we're rushing back players. But if push comes to shove, I think in certain games this season, we might have to do that.
We might. I forgot about Fabio Carvalho. He almost scored with that sweet volley on his left foot that fizzed wide. It fizzed past the post. I was trembling. I was falling to the floor and cursing the heavens at that one. But he looks like a great talent, Brian. So I mean, one goes out, the door opens for another to go in. And Brian, it's going to be. I can't see a world where all of Man United's problems get, put aside even for one match, and they pull it together, even for the biggest match of their season, which is Liverpool at Old Trafford. I mean, first of all, we should actually talk about the protests that are planned, because it might not even go ahead. Because they're going to, basically because they're losing, and they don't like losing. Their main scapegoat now, because they hounded out a number of managers, is definitely the Glazers now. They've settled upon the Glazers. And I understand it in terms of a leveraged buyout. That's a very bad thing. But, if they were winning, they wouldn't give that much of a crap, would they? So here they are. They're gonna try and ruin the spectacle. If we do thump them, which we might, they might, invade the pitch. I could see this one being called off, is what I'm saying. But if it does go ahead, Brian, then I can't. Can you try as a thought experiment to imagine a scenario where Fred wins it for Man United or something? Because that's it's just a weird thought rather than anything realistic. Like, I can think about penguins dressed in purple pajamas.
I can have an easier time thinking of penguins dressed in purple pajamas than Fred winning it for United, because
there you go.
They're such a shit show right now. It's just unbelievable. And you have United fans screaming, saying, play that same team against Liverpool. Do not change that team, because United fans want them to be exposed. United fans, like old United fans, want them to be spanked by us at the moment, because they're so unhappy with the dross that is their team right now. And normally, look, I'm with Jack on this, in the fact that, let's be careful what we say, right? Because it's you don't want to kind of put the kibosh on things. But listen, look at that; they're horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And God, please play Eriksen in that position again. Play out from the back and give the ball to Eriksen, please. That would be great. Good news: it seems like Bobby Firmino looks like he's going to be available for that. Nice. So we have Bobby pressing the life out of them. We've got Lucho on the left, and we've got Mucho Salah on the right, and that's a whole world of pain for them, And then hopefully Hendo is fit. Hendo, Fab, and then Hendo and Fab for me, and any other is fine. I think that will work. And I think the rest of it looks after itself. If we can put out Bobby, Salah, and Lucho, they're toast. I mean, they can get a result out of that. I'd be shocked, because I think I disagree with some of the stuff you're saying, but on the same time, the stats don't lie. The stats were good. We did put a good performance in. We could have been more clinical up front. We very rarely put in 2 bad performances in a row, let alone 3. And so everything is set up here for, we're a club that's chasing things. They're a club that's even just trying to get into Europa right now, realistically. And I'm not even taking the piss when I say that, right? That's where they're at. And so we have to beat them no matter what. We don't have to spank them. If we can, that would be beautiful. we could all deal with a good United rinsing, and then we could just tune into the socials afterwards, and just let it sit there with a toasted cheese sandwich and a cup of tea and just click on the next YouTube video or the next YouTube video or the next YouTube video. But look, they're structurally. I watched that game, and I just thought to myself, the first one went in, I went, oh my God, that's bad. That's horrendous. When when their goalkeeper, which is the only good thing about United for the past 10 years, really. I mean, if they didn't have that goalkeeper, they would have been playing in League One by now, for sure. You know, he's gotten them out of so much shit over the years. Unbelievable. In the shittest teams you could possibly imagine, he's the only player that's managed to keep his levels up. But it's eventually, you can tell something's turned in him. It's ground him down. He has got everything about a player who does not want to be there anymore. You know, why am I doing this year in, year out? And that's letting the ball in there. He's either getting money from China, or you know, he's or he's just, his head is gone, because that's probably one of the most woeful goalkeeping errors I've seen in years. You know, and then it didn't stop there. It was like slap heads. I mean, slaphead's lining up in the wrong side of the tunnel. And the goalkeeper has to tell him, no, captain, we're on this side. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Just when Slaphead thought it couldn't get any worse, the cameras are on him. There's like 1 billion people around the world watching, and his goalkeeper's going to go, well, you're on the wrong side, mate. We had to go over the, like, really? Yeah. Oh, my God. You know, it's just unbelievable. So, you know, I think this is the first time we've ever played United where I think there's as many United fans want us to win as Liverpool fans, because they don't want to paper over the cracks. Because if they manage to get a result, particularly if they manage to beat us as some kind of miracle, there's a lot of older, wiser United fans would say that's the worst fucking thing that could happen right now for that team, because it will give them too much time. You know, every smart United fan wants that team just absolutely jettisoned out, you know, and a lot of them are saying we start after Liverpool. Because if they try to, let's say they try to take some of the players out, he tries to kind of put in some of his new signings, or I don't know if they made the signings, or put in some of the young players, there's a chance that they could be on the end of a drumming. Let's be honest, you know, from us. If we turn up and they play like that, we'll kill them. So hopefully,
it'll be murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, me too. So much. It's just, you know, there was the Lowry painting from last season with all, you know, them flooding out of Old Trafford on 60 minutes, and compared to the Lowry painting. But I want Hieronymus Bosch next week. I want the triptych of the temptation of Saint Anthony.
I want to just say one thing on that. You know what? I'm a football fan. I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan first, and then I'm a football fan. But I am definitely a football fan. I love football. I love all football, right? And I've got respect for United. They're a legitimate club, right? You know, they're our old rivals, and you know, I feel for them because we all know what that's like. We were there. We were there not so long ago, and I'm all about, you know, fan power and doing the right thing, and I wouldn't say I supported them, but I wasn't against them when they did it last time. I didn't feel bad. It's like, look, you know, your club's a shit show. I understand it, but you can't pull this out on the big games like this. If they do that on this game, it won't look like it did the last time they did this. The last time they did this, a lot of people said, okay, I don't like it, but I can understand it. But if they just pull it out for like these, like, and they could say, oh, it's Liverpool, it's got the most eyeballs. But you're right, Owen. If they were like on a 2-game winning streak, would they be doing this? No, they wouldn't. They're doing it because it's a shit show. They've just dropped in 8 goals. And if they try to pull anything, the league has to think about this and step in. Because if you don't come down hard on clubs doing this, and I'm a socialist, so I feel bad even just saying this, but like if you let them away with that, then you're setting a dangerous precedent, right? Because there'll be so many other clubs, and next time they're going through a bit of a shit time and they don't like their owners, oh, I know, let's just do a pitch invasion, or let's just make sure that the game. So they have to know that, like, if they do that, then there's going to be dramatic consequences. Like, they should be docked 6 points in the league. You think it's bad now. You try to do a pitch invasion and you're going to be 9 points behind the 8 ball after 3 games, right? So, I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, because there has to be other ways to get these things resolved, you know, that doesn't affect other football fans as well. you know.
Well, yeah. There's interestingly on that there was a statement from a group called the 1958, which is a Manchester United fan group, and the statement on their website says, "For Liverpool." I would do it in a Manchester accent, but I can't. For Liverpool, we will plant the 1958 flag at the Trinity statue for those wanting to make a stand from 7:30 p.m. in support of match-going and non-match-going fans who have made the journey to show their discontent against this failing ownership. We urge anyone to please contact us for any future ideas or plans concerning match day actions so we can help to validate the feasibility and provide help, support, and advice. It's very bad English. We are all on the same side, and it's crucial the momentum and pressure is maintained above all else. This is a war, not a battle. Dig yourselves in and be prepared for the long haul. So all of that.
Spirit of
all of
Shankly
that,
boys are
Gavin.
just laughing their heads off at this, aren't they? They're like,
Well,
bloody
nobody's a
amateurs.
The bloody amateurs. No, but that's the thing, though. I mean,
They should
you know,
employ
these-
Spirit of Shankly as consultants.
I know that would go down very well, yeah. But Jack, what do you reckon about it all? I mean, I do sympathise that they hate their owners. We hated our owners back in 2011 when we were rubbish. But we had a good reason because it almost ran us into administration as opposed to just using the money the club makes instead of investing their own money, which apparently is what Gary Neville wants. What do you make of it? The protests, you know, this idea of the protests and all that.
It's just like a petulant single child, isn't it? That's selfish and wants everything for themselves. Like you've got everything, been getting everything for a couple of years, and then all the presents stop, and you stop winning, and it's like, oh, even Neville now. I understand, and obviously Redknapp was absolutely spot on. I agree with him. How many times has Neville done the fact that Neville in his interview for Sky, he's not willing to like dig out certain players just because they're English. Like, mate, he refused to heavily criticise, but if it's a player like Pogba or Martial or another player in that Manchester United team that's not English, it'll go in them in hard, really. But it's mad. What was it, last year or the year before when he stopped Liverpool's bus? Like, and Liverpool sent out a decoy, like some Mission Impossible shit. It's like James Bond sent out a decoy bus, and they absolutely fell for it, mate. Liverpool went in a separate transport. Like, so that's I reckon we send out about 5 identical buses, and then we just go on the train anyway. You'll go in like with a Guess Who, like attired anyway, and then is it like the Goonies stand up on each other's shoulders and try and smuggle into Old Trafford in which way possible. Air balloon, zip line.
I reckon they should go in a white van, and they should be like Glaziers written on the side, just to won't, you know. But
or Glazer TV on the side of it or something like Christ. Like, but it's just laughable, mate, in it. And as I said, like you've been very pampered, and it's amazing. Similar with Jurgen Klopp with Liverpool, we're just enjoying the moments now. When we'll cross the bridge when it comes to it, when Jurgen does eventually retire, or hopefully he stays for a long time. But there's not many Fergusons around, and you were just very content. Fergie, every aspect and every fabric of that football club was run by Ferguson. One, as we know, he done the scouting, he done the marketing as well. But it's mad that which it is a company. It's a massive global company that Man United as a product, they're absolute shambles. They haven't got any football and people, which is quite surprising. But the way they've been ran over the last couple of years, it's being ran by non-football and people, and that's so obvious from the outset.
Check this out.
Up to Reds.
Check this out, Jack. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably too small. Hang on. If I'll just read it out to you, maybe.
You can, yeah.
You can see it. It's a great tweet by Travis Simmons at TV Trev Stats, who said, I thought I would just list a few of United's signings since Ferguson left. And it goes back a while to Marcos Rocco, 16 million. Just listen to all this, right? It's a long list. I'll see if I can get through it without losing my voice. Marcus Rocco, 16 million. Angel Di Maria, 59.7 million. 32 appearances for Angel Di Maria. Well, they're probably one of their best players, but they got rid of him. He hated it up in Manchester. 60 million for him anyway. Memphis Depay, 28 million for 53 appearances. Darmian, 13 million. Morgan Schneiderlin, 25 million. Henrik Mkhitaryan, 26.3 million. He made 63, awful appearances by his standards. Paul Pogba, £93.25 million left on a free. Romelu Lukaku, forgot about him, didn't you? 90 million. 90 million they paid for Big Rom. Nemanja Matic, 40 million. Alexis Sanchez cost £67 million.
Piano man.
Scored 5 goals and played Glory, Man United on the piano. I played that to one of my students the other day. One of my students, he could not believe it. He works in football and he was like, I didn't know that. That's like the funniest thing I've ever seen. Alexis Sanchez pretending to play the piano. 5 goals, £67 million. Holy moly. Fred, 61.2 million. £61.2 million for Fred. And then Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 50 million. You forget, don't you, these astronomical sums. Harry Maguire, 80. We can't forget that. Donny van der Beek, £39 million. Amad Diallo, £37.2 million. He made 9 appearances. Jadon Sancho, the jury's still out. He might come good, maybe, but he's got 3 goals and 3 assists since his £73 million move. And last but not least, you've got 2 more. Raphael Varane, who's been a flop, £41 million. And last but definitely not least, I've forgotten because he was so small, Lisandro Martinez, £56.7 million. Brian, that's honestly flabbergasting, isn't it?
Holy moly. Jesus Christ. Wow. You know, the most shocking thing about all that was, I was like, Romelu Lukaku played for United?
yeah, it's so easy to forget.
That's right, he did, didn't he? Yeah, 90 million. And he had that much impact that I totally forgot. I'm not even joking that he played for them for a whole season or 2. I don't even know how long he's played for. 90 million. My God. I remember when FSG just came in to our club, right? I remember thinking, there's only one way we can compete in this league or in the world football, and we need to have the smartest people in the room when it comes to money, when it comes to analytics, when it comes to scouting, when it comes to doing deals, when it comes to all the soft stuff that are not on the pitch, because we can't, at that stage, we couldn't compete with United or Barcelona or whatever on money or on salary. We just didn't have it. But we could compete with them on the other end of the spectrum, which is the coaching staff, and like, because we can pay world-class money there. And we are the smartest, if not the smartest, football club run in the world, top 5, top 3 for sure. We have the smart, everybody, we are the blueprint for recruitment globally right now. Everybody looks to us and says, whatever Liverpool are doing, do that, you know? And anytime we make a decision, sometimes it looks like a terrible decision, but nobody questions it, because it always ends up being the right one. And they are the polar opposite of that. I mean, I will agree with Gary Neville on one side of things. Like, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? Unfortunately, it's a horrible thing to say about football, right? But those Glaziers they bought it on drip to begin with. Horrendous, right? They bought the whole club on drip. They've taken a club that was a juggernaut, a winning machine. They were like the fucking Borg. half the teams were beaten before they even crossed the line. And, you know, they had the best stadium in the world. They had the best commercial outlet in the world. Like, it was just tick, 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 tick. And you ask any Liverpool fan back in those days, can you see a day when They have the worst stadium, one of the worst stadiums in the league. They're getting spanked 4-0 by Brentford. They can't even sign players now. It's got such a shit show that what they've been doing for the past 10 years with Falco and you name it. It's like your 14-year-old nephew has been playing Football Manager and just buying the biggest name out there, and like none of it fits. There's no balance in any of their teams. They just like get all these names, put them on the pitch, and expect them to figure it out, And I just can't believe how badly it's gone from the club that they were. And I know that we went through something similar, but like when they were laughing at us, we were still winning cups. We were still winning European cups. We weren't winning the league, but we were still making ourselves relevant. They have turned into a banter club. Like they've overtaken Arsenal in the banter stakes, and that's about the most damning thing you could possibly say in world football now. When you make Arsenal look like a sensible club, you've got deep-rooted problems.
Apparently, Arsenal fan people, they're selling T-shirts with hearts and brains in reference to what Arteta said in one of his pre-match. Apparently, what was it? He drew a heart and he drew a brain, and then he said, "Let's go and win" or something.
I bought Amazon Prime just to watch that, man. It was great. Oh my god! He goes, like I'll just make something up, right? Here we go. Okay. What do we all have together in this room in common? Air. We like air. We breathe air together. So go out there and fucking win, okay, guys? That was the extent of his team talks every week. He would just pick some random words and say, "I love you guys. You guys are great. You don't let me down." And then he would finish off it, "Let's go fucking win now." It was deep technical stuff by Arteta. The guy's a genius. And he's great with a marker. I mean, it was very Brendan Rodgers-esque. It really was, He actually made Brendan Rodgers look like a Rhodes Scholar. I mean, I'll tell you at the end of it all. So, yeah, it's good. It's entertainment. You should watch it. It's very good.
My word. I think, you've sold it to me. I think you just... Amazon have got another customer coming their way, Jeff, an extra €7 a month or whatever it is. Enjoy, Jeff Bezos. Jack, it's the end of the world around me. There's this loads of lightning going on here. But before we wrap up, I don't know, do you have anything in particular you would like to add about Man United, about Arsenal, about anything about the start of the season? Any kind of final messages? Anything in particular?
Just put me that I don't know how you lads felt on, and obviously everyone listening. It was a bit of a, I don't know if you've watched it, the Chelsea-Tottenham game. As a neutral, that was madness. Like, and everyone, I think, off the back of that game was like, and obviously the Graham Souness comments as well, not to mention them, but in terms of obviously, that's, as a neutral fan, you love to watch that, don't you? But if that's your team and you just conceded that, the fact that obviously Cucurella's literally got his wig taken off him anyway, like whoever was dragging his hair, that was a foul, but as we said, last night's officiating was an absolute shambles. But yeah, it was a good game to watch. But if that was one of your team, if that was Liverpool, then I think all of us would be jumping out of a window if it was a it was a shocking display, that. But as a neutral, it was enticing.
I missed the match, right? Because I was out and about, and but I was sort of, I don't know, half following, Googling the score now and again, and then afterwards. Someone on WhatsApp sent me an image of Cucurella pulling the hair. And we were talking about this just before with Brian, just before we started recording. It's nuts. Like, what is the fucking point of VAR if you're not going to look at the video and see if you made a mistake? And they made a mistake, so it should have been a foul. But now VAR, to cover it up, the refs are saying, but we're only allowed to intervene now if it's possibly a red card. And it's like, well, what the fuck are you doing in your meetings where you're so unbelievably, preposterously overcomplicating the idea that you've got video technology?
Yeah, I was going to say,
and it's potentially a red card as well. Yes, exactly.
Conduct.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Yes.
Did you see what about Robbo? Did you see Robbo? Like one of in our game, Robbo puts both his hands on the player's chest, body checks him, takes the ball up, heads off, and fucking the ref's like, play on, play ball. We were like, that's a definite yellow. And that was like our player. We're like, what are they watching? Like, and like, if the referee doesn't pick it up, what's VAR doing? They should go, John, yeah, you missed that there. Yeah. You know, he fucking kicked him in the balls. Yeah, that's definitely going to pull it back for that one. You know?
But
what are they doing? They're like, it's getting worse.
It is getting worse. Hashtag PGMOL out. I'm trying to get that trending on Twitter because we need
they're
them
a private
out.
company that makes money, and like that. I found that shocking when I first discovered
they're a service provider. They're a third-party service provider, and we need to get another group of refs in from around Europe or around the world, you know, who don't have the same biases as all being from Manchester, and who don't have the same poor level of eyesight. And you know, that would be great. Hashtag PGMOL out. Thank you very much to Jack. Anfield Road TV in the house. You've changed your name, Jack, to Anfield Road TV. Excellent stuff. So viewers, formerly Jack Mac TV, it's now Anfield Road TV. What's going on your channel these days, Jack?
Yeah, today being the 16th of August, I've got Owen on at 7 p.m. GMT. We'll be having Owen. We'll just debrief and analyse and probably moan and joyous, as we've done today, of the good moments of Liverpool, mate. But we'll be having Owen for a debrief of 7, and obviously we will have a couple of shows throughout the week, mate. But thank you very much for having me on, mate. I appreciate it. Great to speak to Brian, as always. And everyone, try and enjoy and look forward to Manchester United. And if we get 3 points, as we've already discussed, it'll make our moods feel a lot better. But a nice one, Owen. Thank you.
It will. Thank you very much, Jack. Brian, what would you like to add? A final message to the viewers, to the listeners?
I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to do this.
Oh, and for the listeners, he's rubbing his hands together in anticipation for Monday's match. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, for watching. Mick Moran's in the house. Hi, Mick. Great to have you with us. And absolutely wonderful to have you with us. Thanks, Mick. Do check out the great work for the Copite podcast as well. Wonderful stuff. And I'm just going to leave you on a brilliant joke that Doug left in the comments before. Brilliant. I don't know. I shouldn't preface a joke with that. Okay, a rubbish joke, but I found it quite funny. A mummy covered in chocolate and nuts has been discovered in Egypt, and archaeologists think that it may be the remains of Pharaoh Rocher. Good night.